Hello, everyone, and welcome back to finally a new episode of Joshi Wrestling Island. My name is Matt. With me, as always, is Dan and Tristan. We haven't recorded in a long while. Mainly, I have a lot of health stuff going on right now, to be honest, and I was on vacation too. So, yeah, I'm still dealing with those health stuff, to be honest, but I'm a lot better, and I can actually focus on doing stuff. So, a lot has gone on since the last time we talked. Stardom pretty much has new champions. Mighty Gold has new champions. TJPW pretty much has new champions. Sendai Girls pretty much has new champions. Pretty much all the major promotions in Joshi Wrestling has new champions. And Julia is also a new champion. Repping the beautiful madness right here. So, how's everyone else been? How you guys been doing? Since I talk to Dan almost every day, but Tristan I just message every day. So how we all doing? How we doing? How's everyone's Saturday going?
Yeah, it's going good.
Today's
Dan,
been good.
you got a large ass spray bottle right next to you, Dan. You trying to spray yourself or something?
It's just water. Yeah, sometimes I spray myself just to wake up or clear up my eyes.
So last night there was a Mighty Gold show. I don't know when the VOD is going to be up. I think Stardom also had a show last night, but I didn't get like any notifications about it from Stardom. And I'm going to be honest, I don't like their new website. Every time there's a live show, I haven't seen it popped up once.
I think it was a VOD last night, and then the live show is like
Oh yeah,
tomorrow or another day. There's like two VODs, then a live, then a VOD next week, or like that because they posted about that on like the Twitter, and it was like VOD live, and then like in between like four VODs or something like that. It was weird because they
yeah.
tweet as if it's live, but then it's a VOD.
Like we have all this going on, and it's VOD. Oh, okay, cool. Like they haven't, like they just uploaded a bunch of stuff on their site. I haven't really looked at it, but like there was supposed to be like a live show the other day, and I went on the Stardom website and it just did not show up. And like everyone was tweeting about it, and I'm like, why can't I see this on their website? So I don't know. Don't like the new one. I mean, ever since Rossi left, that website has been shit, to be honest. So, so where
Yeah,
would we
because
like to? Sorry, go ahead.
11, 12 are VOD, 13 is live and Kuroken, and then 17 is VOD before two lives. So it's like it doesn't make sense where they go from two VODs and a live to a VOD and two lives because that's the
What are
streaming
we gonna do
schedule.
here? It's Okada. I never understood any of the shit he does, to be honest.
Probably
So,
based on the venue and whether or not he wants to pay for the Wi-Fi to be enabled.
could you imagine? So where would we like to start off today? Because we got a little time, but not a bunch of time, if that makes sense.
Well, if you want to go in time order, the big Stardom event happened first.
That's true. Queendom did happen first, which I did watch. I watched all of it. I won't lie. I'm surprised they took the title off of Tam. I thought Tam Hogan was gonna hold on to that title and they were gonna unify the IWJP title with Mayu. Have Mayu drop, well Mayu drop it to Tam, because we're all under the assumption that Mayu's leaving. Like she's gonna be gone soon. So
We
I
still
fully
got 3 months for that.
yeah, full 3 months
It
of
showed up by her
speculation.
defending the title successfully at Wrestle Kingdom against Azumi. So
I thought they were gonna. First off, what a fucking crime! Pardon my language, but what a crime to have that match only go 8 minutes and 42 seconds. That is a crime against Joshi Wrestling.
It's the shortest Mayu's ever wrestled at a Wrestle Kingdom like NJPW show defending her championship. I think everything else has been 10 minutes plus, including against Mina and stuff. So they gave less time to Azumi than Mina.
Which, no offense to Mina, I love her. Okay, I don't love her. I think she's just an average wrestler, to be honest. But she knows how to interact with the crowd. But I don't think she should be getting almost double the time over Mayu and Azumi, even if Mercedes is wrestling. I just don't agree with it. That's just me.
which she lost, and now Mercedes has all those belts.
Yep. What is it? 4 now? She got 4, 5,
She's got
25
what, the
titles.
AWTBS title, the New Japan Strong title, and then that Rev Pro British title that Mina had, and the other title Mina had. The other
So she's
one.
got what, 5? 5?
So
Is that
4, I think.
4?
I think
Math's
it's
hard.
4 right now.
So, and then, how do you guys all feel with Feather Lady, aka Saya, having the title? Do you think it was the right decision? Do you think you guys think she's gonna do good with it?
I mean, it can't go as bad as when they had Tora win, so it's just whatever. Like the red belt is kind of just since Micah, since Rossi left, it's gone down the shitter. Like you had Toro, then Tam, now Saya. It's just bouncing between where you used to have like long reigns where it's like everybody was like 200 days and 300. Now it's like 20 days, 100 days, 20 days.
It is wild that
Like
this is her first reign.
Yeah, she's been wrestling for like a few years now, right? 5,
Oh,
6
I've
years.
been around longer than that. She debuted in August of 2019.
Yeah, so she's been around for what, 6 years? 6, 5, 7.
Five
Sorry,
and a half.
math. Yeah, it's wild that this is her first title reign, but like you also gotta look at Hazuki, that he hasn't even won the white belt yet, and she's tried what, 8 times, and she hasn't succeeded at all. Which Rossi and Okada, what are we doing here? Why haven't we belted up Hazuki yet? She's one of the best in the world. She deserves to be built up. And then Nat's play dropped to SLK, which I honestly I'm not surprised Starlight Kid won. But I don't know if she should have got it there. Like I still feel like Hazuki should have won the title last time, but I think
oh
Starlight Kid's
yeah,
gonna have a good run in my opinion. I think she's gonna have a good run, but it's up to Okada, and with how Okada's booking everything, eh,
yeah. Well, as we talked about, some of these changes were like people leaving, or like like Thecla's probably going to be leaving, so they lost the tag team championships. Although because now she's with Athena in the ROH story for Stardom, which is whatever. But yeah, SLK and Natsuki was just basically like a toss up because both of them are probably going to be leaving. So it's just like I guess they wanted to take that championship off of Natsuki so she's not double champion because she still has the artist championship that I think they defended like twice or whatever. When was
I
the
feel
last
like
time
they've only
the
defended once. To be honest, like I think it's only been once. I think it's against
that's
Tate.
it's yeah, I think it's like once or twice since like July, like 6 months, I think. Been a long time.
They won the
Well,
titles in August. They've defended once.
Yep.
yep, fucking called it.
Yep. Yeah, I was about to
Only
say,
have
I was like, I
defended it
remember them winning
once.
in the summer and then nothing since then.
It's the booking is just it's mind-boggling, and I don't give a shit how much you want to defend Okada. The booking is just it's up there. It's. Let me just say, he ain't winning Booker of the Year. Let's just say that. Then we go over to
Evidence of that is that I'll see a friend of mine posted this really on this thing. Stardom slipped from number 2 most sold tickets in Japan to third. Dragon Gate passed them.
Dragon Gate past
They
them.
were number 2.
Uh,
Stardom was number 2 in Japan in 22 and 23. They moved down to third. Dragon Gate moved up above them. New Japan, of course, has been number 1 consistently for
yeah.
like the last 10 years.
Now the
Dragon Gate's passing you, like that's a bad sign.
now the
Apparently,
thing
Dragon Gate does well, despite the fact that it's thought of as like a third tier company, because out of these last since 2018, they have been number 2 all but twice.
interesting enough, doesn't WWE own the Dragon Gate library, or is it their old
For the
library?
US show, I believe.
Dragon Gate
For
USA,
anything,
yeah,
yeah.
Oh, okay, okay.
because that was a what's his
There's
face?
Dragon Gate USA. I think there's Dragon Gate UK, which I think they might have some. Like they only did I don't some event, like a few events, so they might own that too.
It's
But it was like
supposed to
Dragon
be
Gate
Grand
USA
Slam Dragon Gate USA, so that's
that
why
they.
they got it.
But
And
then
they changed the
Japan's
name.
separate. Yeah.
Okay. Let's see. Tokyo Joshi Pro Wrestling also had title changes. Watanabe dropped to Mizuki, which I honestly was surprised they had her drop the title. But it's always good to have a good change. But it's Watanabe. How can you drop? She's adorable. That's the greatest theme song I've ever heard. I know Tristan just loves that theme song.
If I knew any of the words, I mean, I know it. If actually I knew any of it, I would be singing it right now. But I don't know. And go,
We watched that. Oh, I watched that match.
I watched
Oh
that
yeah,
whole show.
I think Tristan watched it with me too.
Yeah, I think.
It was a good match. Who else? Didn't they also the Princess Tag titles, right? Didn't the Princess Tag titles also drop too?
No, that's
No, no,
still
no,
it's
no, no.
still Maki
Yeah,
Ito and
Yeah.
Yamashita.
yeah,
But Suzume won the international title
That's right.
yeah.
from Yuki Arai, which is funny because Yuki Arai just announced that she's going to stop doing the idol thing and just do wrestling, and then they make her drop the title.
Which makes me wonder if she's going to be graduating from TJPW.
Yeah. Yeah, because I still find like the tag team because it's funny that you have both the princess and international changing, but then tag team, which is like the two wrestlers who are more likely to leave this year, are like still champions. That was one of like, what?
Yeah, but I knew they weren't gonna drop it to Masha. No offense to her.
No, they probably wouldn't, but like I don't know because both of them are like in the U.S. every other month, so like I think they still defend regularly, but they also like keep on excursions like every time. So
Sendai Girls also had new champions. I think they
But
actually.
that was earlier in December, yeah.
Yeah, well, it
yeah,
was earlier December, but we got the final boss, Miko Satomura, getting the title.
Only her second reign, by the way.
Second reign.
Her first reign, of course, was the very first reign of any Sendai Girls champion.
Then you got the Minion girls over there. The love
All
coming
the
out to the
banana and the peach.
coming out to the Minion music, getting the tag titles. Uh, they're pretty much I like if Mayu had kids like daughters, those two would be her daughters.
Miyo Momomo and
Like one
Yurika
one hundred
Oka.
percent. They are chicken brain juniors. The second and the third. That's what they should be called.
They're
Chicken brain
also
the
the
second.
Oz Academy champion.
I believe so. Yeah.
No,
No.
marvelous, marvelous,
Marvelous.
marvelous,
Yeah.
marvelous.
There's so many fucking promotions to try to keep up with.
I just try to keep up with the 3 or 4 big ones, but people I follow show some of those second, third tier companies
Yeah.
like
And then
Marvelous.
we already got two uh, Sariism shows. We got one this month. Then we got one in March coming up too. She just announced the March one, Chapter 7. We'll definitely probably watch Chapter 6 because it's got.
We even mentioned that Lingori won the tag titles over in Stardom.
Oh yeah, I forgot they
yeah.
won. I forgot that they won. To be honest,
Probably the tail change I was the most happy over. So
we're just
well,
all
we
over
mentioned that
Chris
that Thekla lost, but not who won.
Yeah, not who won. Yeah, we were like Thekla laws. Anyways, moving on.
Just Hanano Saida.
Then Maori Gold, complete change around the board. I honestly was surprised. Like, I'm not mad.
Just one. Just one.
Yeah, just one. Yeah, because then even
Maybe
if she's
two.
injured, so like
Maybe the tag in the world was the ones I was thinking of.
See, I was
What?
thinking the tag and the United National title was going to change, even though I didn't want Miku to drop. I thought
tag
Sari was gonna retain. That's my opinion.
tag was obvious going to change. Like as soon as they changed it to Dark Wolf, that was just an obvious transitional chant to Brazil and Tank. That was just clear.
You mean
And
Tank, the
then I was
greatest
expect
wrestler in the world?
yeah, and then Superfly was the other one I was expecting. But then yeah, the United and World, those were like like toss ups. I didn't think the United would change. I didn't think Mai would win that from Miku.
Yeah, I
So
honestly I thought they were going to continue the storyline, Saudi being the outsider and being the ace of Marigold until Mayu showed up, but they just decided against it and gave it to Itami. The plus side coming out from that is that Saudi said she's going to continue wrestling in Marigold. She's not going to stop. So that's a plus for them. We'll just see how many shows she actually does.
the other big thing from that show was the Rumble, which confirmed that Yuki was going to be moving over pretty much. Like we all figured it, but like now that she's in the feud with uh Victoria for the Superfly and she won the Rumble, it's basically like she's just going to be transferring over. Like
It pretty much
so
confirmed
that's
our thoughts that she
yeah
would most likely end up. I've seen a lot of her clips in on Twitter. She's constantly popped up for me on Twitter, so like I'm excited that she's finally coming over. It's funny
yeah
because Dan went to me. He's like, you're pretty excited for someone that we haven't really talked about or anything. And I'm like, I've just seen a lot of her clips. I liked what I've seen. I haven't watched any of
yeah
her
I
matches
was
because it's
yeah.
tough to find
I
ice
was I
ribbon
was
stuff.
first on it because I've seen some of her matches from Ice Ribbon, but also just like it was basically confirmed with Marigold because like in November, like when she was talking about freelance, she like mentioned WWE and all that stuff. So it's like it's pretty clear she has the same idea as like Pookie and everybody else was like going to WWE. So it's like you're not gonna go to Stardom at that point. Like and
I'm
then
sorry.
I don't it
I
seems
just noticed I had a
yeah
tag in Pone, but it was from Misfit Wrestling
yeah
Podcast replying to something I said.
and then it seems
Um,
like Yuki is defending this weekend on the 13th in a her championship match. So she might lose there. She's still freelancing, but yeah, that was just posted like a day or two ago, like this weekend that she's defending
But
Ice
also
Ribbon
on
in.
that show, Koki defended the GHC women's title
and blew out her
successfully, but
knee,
destroyed her ACL in the
Yep.
process.
which she thinks she's gonna only need 5 months to recover. She hasn't even had surgery yet, so four
Yeah.
months. Um,
Well, if it's a grade two, then possibly like I think that would be like grade two and surgery could be within that 4 to 6 months. But if it's like grade three where it's like a complete tear, then it's 6 to 9 months, and she's not coming back before like 7 or 8 months. Like
I'm gonna say if it's grade two, I'm gonna say best for you guys to get your hopes up is June and July for her
yeah,
to
well,
return. To be honest, because like she'll have to get the strength back. She'll have to do conditioning.
yeah, because it's 6 to 8 weeks without surgery for grade two, and if it's surgery, it's like extra plus conditioning and everything. So it's like probably 12 to 16 weeks. So it's like that same period of time where it's like 4 months minimum of like of it. So I don't expect her back within like before the summer, like 6 months.
It does suck because she was really actually stepping it up. She obviously has been doing a lot of training, so now
Yeah,
it's up to her to get back to that level.
And I
I,
wonder if
I
they're
do
gonna
because
they're
yeah, I
like
don't think
let
she
Noah
said
do the deal.
about yeah. I wonder what they're going to be doing with the championship. 'Cause I don't think she relinquished it yet, but they might take it. I'm not sure. They probably are gonna have to take it from her.
They
But
said as of now they're not going to, so we'll see. And
yeah,
since
but I
it's
think
since it's Noah, they might just let her hold on to it.
maybe, but it just depends how long. Because if you want, like, if I guess if it's at if she's aiming for May, like April, May, then maybe if it's like but if it's like July, August, then I don't think they can wait 7, 9, like to 8 months. So I think it
Yep.
depends on the recovery. Like they might, uh, come April, May, they might make an update about it, and if she's still far away as we expect, then it's probably gonna take it.
Yeah, they'll probably ever relinquish it. But there was also a major debut on that show too. We finally saw the Ace debut, the Super Rookie. How does she say her name? Because I don't want to mess it up, and I'm still waking up.
Oh man, I think it's Sarah, even though
I
it's
thought
not
I was
her.
gonna say like I was gonna say Sarah.
And she used her phone to say that she was going to whoop their ass.
That gave me a chuckle. During the conference, she's already shit talking. Love to see it. But yeah, that debut was very technical wrestling for like the first 12 minutes of the match, and then they started to let
Yeah,
her do some moves and actually show what she can do. And then they extended the match, and Mirai obviously won the match, but her German
I didn't.
suplex
Yeah,
is a thing of beauty.
yeah. I find like German suplex and some other stuff was good. It's just they relied a lot more on the technical stuff, like which she does come from amateur wrestling. It's just for like half the match because it was like a almost 25-minute match with the time limit draw and like the extra 8 or 9 minutes or 7 minutes, whatever. Was just like half of it was just like ankles and just on the ground and everything. So it's just like I'm just watching amateur wrestling. Like it's you got to mix it up a bit, which is will take time, but it's just some
She
of
had
it.
some
Like
good
it
submission
showed
holds.
glimpse. Yeah, it showed glimpse of like having it with the German suplex and submission holds, but then there's other stuff where it's just like, okay, you're just wasting like 5 minutes on this like amateur wrestling. So I think it's that
I,
mix that she needs to find.
you could see it. You could see why they're hyping her up. You could see the talent, and it's just got to come together. And having her go up against Mirai was a smart choice because it's Mirai. She's one of the best in the world. So it's understandable. I just wish, like you said, they let her show a little bit more of her wrestling moves instead of focus on the ground game a lot. But you know what? They did that with Charlie Dempsey and uh, Jonathan Grisham in TNA, and everyone's like, "This is the greatest greatest 15 minutes I've ever watched." So it's up to the people to enjoy what they enjoy, I guess. So that show was good. I actually really enjoyed that show for the most part. Tank, they didn't really allow Tank to do much, to no
She
surprise.
can't really do much. Like he's only been wrestling for a year, I think, and I mean she has the stature, but like apart from that, there's not really anything she does.
I mean, she did a
I still
choke
think
slam.
she, yeah, I think she's just like still just a replacement. Like I feel like they wanted like Megan Bain or something for that spot, but Tank is just thrown in as like, okay, we didn't get anybody else. Like because setting up the mystery partner reveal and doing all that, and then it's just like a person nobody's heard of, and I'm like, why? Why was this a mystery? Just like announce that. Like
Yeah, I agree. I feel like they were trying to set it up to be Megan, and then Megan's gonna Megan at this point. I don't think she gives an F about doing anything else except indies. This is George and Hill, I don't know why. But we got Tank instead. She, you can see that she's a bodybuilder. I can say that much. She has them muscles. I would have been scared if I was in the ring with her. Let
She's
me just
tall.
say.
She's jacked.
She's tall, jacked. She probably can knock your ass out. That match was all right. I didn't care for it. My Sakura winning was interesting, but it also felt like you've done so well this year and showed how much you improved. Where now here's your chance, run with it. So we're gonna have to see how our first title defense goes, how our first feud goes.
yeah. I
Yeah,
do
Mr.
find the
Classic,
super
right? Yeah,
flying. Yeah, I do
she's
think
done
Victoria
well.
winning was the but like the other championship, the Superfly. I think that was a good one. Like my for me was the one that I was if I'm still iffy on that one because she's been improving, but out of all the champions, like you have Utami, Victoria, even Bozilla, if you want to like do the tag team, like she's the like freak of nature, she can just kill anybody. Like that's the whole Bozilla tag team. Mine just seems kind of like the outlier, where it's kind of like I feel a bit early for her. Like if she won it a few months away, it'd been fine. It's just she's still growing into that marigold version of herself, where she had like the good matches in the summer, but I can't really remember much that she's done since being tag team champion and then like losing it.
Their
Like as
their
a
tag
solo
title
competitor,
defenses for the most part have been pretty good.
yeah. It's just as a solo, I don't know what she's done because she's been had the
She
match
hasn't done
against
many
Julia in like the
singles.
summer, and then tag team since then, and yeah. So we'll see how she is as a solo champion. That's the only one I'm like, eh. Especially going from Miku, who's was like a top talent. It's gonna be an interesting change.
Now we have Utami. She's gotta prove herself with this one because like Saudi says, everyone's been waiting for this version of her to come out, and it hasn't really come out in Gold. So now you got to stick with it. Got to prove that you can be the face of this company. If not, she's just gonna give it back to Saudi. She's just gonna get the title back. All right, let's see. So 2024 has been a big year for Joshi Wrestling. We had Gold starting. We had Rossi getting fired. We had TK Tony Khan saying batshit about Rossi and pretty much ruining his chance to signing at least half of the Stardom roster. Uh, we had Io Sky wrestling in Gold. Now, what are your guys' hopes for 2025? What are your hopes for this year in Joshi Wrestling?
I feel like the biggest thing is just having like I think Marigold will be doing it, but like American shows, like Stardom, their Philly show last year, it wasn't a bad show, but it didn't really like impress me. And for me, you want to get some of those American shows to get American audience because like there's as we're working with Julia in NXT right now, there's a lot more interest in Joshi Wrestling where you have Julia as NXT champion, Io Sky's in every single title seen in the main roster, and then Kyrie and Asuka are injured, but like people are waiting for their returns. So it's like the biggest it's been, but then when they do the American shows, some of them just fall flat where it's like you want to try to get that audience. So I'm hoping that the American shows this year um, are better.
And they don't just
And
like treat
then
it as like a filler show.
yeah,
Still
because
our house shit, yeah.
yeah, because I remember the Philly show was Michael versus Megan was like the big show, like the big match, like that was what everybody liked. But I don't think I could name you a single other match without looking it up. I
I'm
think
gonna
there
be
was
honest.
something with
I forgot all them. I was there, and I looked back at my pictures, and I was like, Stephanie Vacker was on the show.
oh yeah, she was.
I forgot she was on the show,
Yeah,
but I had a
Well,
picture of
she,
her.
she was New
and
Japan
Willow
Strong.
was there too. I forgot about that. Like Willow Nightingale was there.
Yep.
And then they had the Club Venus reunion. Like that's the thing is like they had like it's just funny because looking at the cage match, it's like the high speed title with Saki when she won and had that whole thing.
I think that's
But
when she
like
got
every
hurt
match,
too.
yeah. But it's like 4.41, 6, 5.7, 6.4, and then you get like an almost 8, like 8-star rating for the title match. So it's like you have all these like average matches, and then you have like the biggest title match with Michael versus Megan, and you can't carry on from that because Megan obviously didn't come back, and so it was kind of like it was a good one-off, but every other match just fell flat. Like so, I do hope that the American shows and then Marigold, it's going to be their first time in America too. So I do hope that those go well.
Yeah, like you said, I'd rather not treat the American shows as house shows and actually treat them like like a pay-per-view, like pretty much like make it seem like a big deal, not like 10 tag matches and then one big singles championship match. Like set it up to be something like you're trying to showcase, you're trying to win American fans to watch more of these products. If you're going to do that, then fucking do it and go all
It's
in.
especially with
And
yeah, especially with like the time zone because like you're in America, you're in like EST or like you're in like the time zone where basically anybody can watch at like 8 p.m. compared to the shows that we normally watch, but like they're like 3 in the morning or like maybe like midnight if they're like earlier. But like it's a lot easier to get Americans interested in like watching VODs when they can watch a show at like 7 or 8 p.m. as like their first live experience, rather than like 1 in the morning where half of them won't even be awake then.
agreed. What about you, Dan? What are you hoping for this year?
Oh well, I'm seeing. We already have the first of the Ice Ribbon Girls coming to Marigold looks like maybe some Actors girls are busting off away. I'd like to see those roster number go up so they can start doing uh, less singles matches every single show because that's how people get hurt.
Yep.
And then maybe start some factions and just I mean it's the big show of the year and what two or three girls are hurt so now they're down a couple girls. They need the numbers.
Agreed. This year, I would like to see more Maori Gold and WWE working together. Thea Hale hasn't wrestled in NXT in like 4 months now, I think. Hasn't even been seen on
Since she
TV.
left the group,
Yeah, since Chase disbanded, she hasn't even been on TV. I think she would have been. Would be a fantastic excursion to Maori Gold. I think she would fit in well. I think she would be able to replace Mala Grace easily and win over the fan base. I just would like to see more with Maori Gold in WWE. I also hope for their big show in July or whenever they're going to have their big show or wherever they're going to put it. I don't know if they'll do the Sumo Hall again. If they do, I hope we see Io and Kyrie be in matches. Most likely Julia too. I would love to see that happen. But we'll see. I'd like to see Maori Gold and Sendai Girls continue hooking up after Miko Satomura had a match, which they teased kind of during the broadcast from Sunny and Stu Fulton that we might be seeing more of them together down the road. Same with Ice Ribbon, which I think that's just meaning some Ice Ribbon girls are going to be signing with Body Gold, to be honest. I think that's about it. I'm more intrigued to see what happens in March because we all know in March is when all the Stardom contracts are going to be up and everyone's going to be needing to be re-signed. I wonder truly how many people are going to be leaving Stardom. There's a few big names. Like we all assume Mayu Iwatani is going to be moving to Maori Gold with a, I'm going to say soft chance of her going to WWE. No,
Yeah,
not
I think it
AEW.
all just I think it all just depends on yen because like the yen situation, as we like you know in Japan, is just like the worst it's ever been. So I think a lot of the talent who are within that age, or like because Mayu is, well, I think she's 31 right now, so she'll be like
She's
turning
30 right
32.
now.
30, yeah, 31, turning 32 in February, so she'll be. So a lot of that, like those talent that are in that, as we've seen before with like Julie when she turned 30, it's like that choice of like 27 to 32, like that 5 year period, or like it's just when you're gonna change over, that is like the time. Like I think Kyrie, Io, were also I think they were like 28, 29, or like in that age. So that's the choice of like if you want to move over, it's probably best. She might do like a 1 or 2 year contract, see what's going to be happening, and then try to move over. But I do think that it's definitely crept in her mind a bit more, because yeah, the like getting the contracts nowadays, especially with the merger, like as we've seen with some of the contracts, like they're stupid money. Um, and even EO, one of the jokes, as we know, is when EO before the merger, like years and years ago, I can't remember if it was NXT or main roster, but she had Mayo at her house and just had like 20K on the table or something like that, and we're just like, oh yeah, like just casually had like all the money on the table, like just casual amount of money on the table in front of Mayo. It was nothing. Like so that's
Mm.
one joke that keeps popping up where it's just Mayo came over, she was shocked and the money was just casual to EO.
Well, now she's even making even more money with her
Yeah,
main roster deal. And who
and
knows
she's
how much
been
she
world
re-signed
champion.
for. Yeah.
Yeah.
Who knows how much she
yeah.
re-signed for and most likely going to re-sign again soon. I
Because I
keep
think before COVID, or I think it was either before or it was like 4 or 5 years ago. I can't remember. If it was, but Mai was talking about how she was earning like 30K a year, like 3 million yen, as like her monthly salary, which is like really like good. But then, as we know with yen, like that's probably half of what it was 5 years ago. So that's the issue. It's like 2/3. So even if she's making like 3 million yen, that's gone down from like 30K down to like 20K. So she's obviously making I think the most of any stardom from it, but I think a lot of it. And then we've seen where a lot of the talent, Kyrie and everything, like they get free rides, or like they get a lot more time to go back to Japan. So the idea of like homesickness is definitely fought against because like Io has gone back to Japan like what 4 times in the past like 6 months or whatever.
Might be even
Like
more, to
so,
be honest.
yeah, it's just like so they hop around and the Kyrie I think still has her gym in Japan and like does stuff with that or I can't remember she but a lot of it is just yeah we'll see what happens even if it's not Mayu I think a lot of Stardom talent is going to be looking overseas to AEW and WWE right now.
I think the way
Yeah.
that Okada's been booking Suri, I feel like she might be leaving. Like I feel like she's gonna be gone. And considering God's Eye has now like 25 fucking members on their squad.
Yeah. And it's yeah, and it's funny that if you look at God's Eye, like some members are like Tomoko Iniba, who like we've talked about, who's like she's gonna be in NXT in like a year or two because she's like so adamant about like following Asuka. So I'm like, you look at like half the members of God's Eye, like you look at Sari, Tomoka, I think Hina, like half these people are leaving Stardom for either overseas or like Marigold. So it's just funny that it's like I don't know what's gonna happen to God's Eye, but yeah, that's that faction might disband or get a name change or something. Because
I'm
yeah,
surprised we haven't seen more name changes because it felt like Okada was just trying to, and Bushi Road was just trying to eliminate everything Rossi created.
yeah. But I think when Suri leaves, then it would definitely because like she's been the leader since the start. I think her and I think there was one other person I can't remember, but she's been there since like the start, like 3 or 4 years
Mirai.
ago. Um,
Mirai was in God's Eye.
yeah, Mariah, and then oh, it's Suri, not Suri, and then Amy, that one.
Oh yeah, she's still
But
hurt.
yeah,
Sure,
because they're like the founding members. But yeah, once you have Siri leave, she's been the only leader. Like they're gonna do a names change and change it up, especially when if you have people like Aniba and Hina leave too, because Hina will follow where the sisters go, and I feel like Rena's gone. We like she lost the New Blood titles, and I just feel like she's leaving. So if you have Rena leave, then her twins probably gonna leave too. So I think
and then the other
God's
sister and the
Eye.
cousin.
So I
Which
think
one's their
God's Eye is gonna
cousin?
go from.
Ruaka is the cousin.
Oh, are
Oh,
they? Okay, yeah,
Yeah, there's the
interesting.
because
twins,
yeah,
their sister Hanan, and then their cousin Ruaka.
yeah, because
I
I
didn't know
think
Rocco was their
God's
cousin.
Eye. It's funny. God's Eye is 8 members, and I think 3 to 4 are guaranteed to leave. So that's like, what are you gonna do with a 4 member faction?
Well, it's the
Well, I
same
mean,
with
last
Stars
year,
too.
yeah, stars as well. Last year, we thought up to half the roster would leave, and 7 left.
Yeah, but I think that that was a situation of like wait and see how Marigold does, and now some of the talent seeing like Io Sky appear on Marigold show, like that's like the big thing. Like the summer show, I think was like a major thing for it, where all these people, as we're talking about, like idolize people like Io, Kyrie, Asuka, and if you have chances of like having them on the same show, even just meeting them backstage, I think a lot of them are going to try to take that chance. And the Stardom attendance is just as we were talking about, like they've gone down. Like they went from second to third, and it's gonna keep going.
Can't even
So
give
I
you
feel like
numbers if I can pull it back up because they had the actual numbers of tickets sold over the year. Emma, load up. Thank you.
I would like to
Face
know what Marigold did at the ward because it looked packed. Like it looked like it had a decent sized crowd.
So
Like
Stardom went from 96,736 tickets, making up 10% of total tickets sold on Japanese companies, to 79,505 to make up 8%.
yeah. So I definitely feel like that's gonna be a point for them where if you're losing 17K and 2% of the market in a year, I think a lot more people are gonna be looking overseas, or looking either overseas or to Marigold, which is like starting to rise up. Like they have a small, but if
Marigold
they got
finished
Marigold,
seventh, which is crazy because they only basically had just more than half a year.
yeah. And then they
that is
have the backing
crazy
of
actually.
WWE. Yeah. So I
Like
feel like
because
last year, we thought it was going to be a mass exodus, but then a lot of them stayed with the comfort. But now it's like, okay, you stayed with Stardom for, they could have signed a 1 year extension, but is it really worth it to stay any longer after that 1 year? Because I do think that Stardom and Okada offered some 1 years to just prevent people from leaving, but now it's going to come up in a year and kind of screw it up all over again.
And to go back on Julia's quote, she also said, there was several of them that said they wanted to join, but then they decided against it, and that kind of like pissed off a couple people. So it's kind of wondering who are those names, and are they now going to try to go over? You
Yeah,
know,
because there's definitely some names. Like I think Tam was probably one where she talked backstage to Rossi about it, and then kind of did that as like to get him out of Stardom. But there's probably some other people that talked about it and then just got fear and just like stayed in the comfort rather than leaving.
I think Feather Lady was one of them, and she doesn't even talk to Tommy anymore. So,
Yeah, that was yeah.
but in all, it looks like it's going to be a pretty big year in Joshi Wrestling because you've got Sendai Girls starting to pick up steam. You have
It's just gonna be
Joshi Pro
interesting that
Wrestling.
once Maiko's gone, how Sendai Girls goes.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how. Well, Miku will still be booking it though.
I
Yeah.
would imagine, but maybe she'll
But
be left
yeah,
there.
but with Miko gone, I do think we were talking about how like Mika was probably gonna join Marigold or like leave Sende.
I
Because I
mean,
think
she's lost all her
she is one.
titles.
Yeah, and I think she's one of like the contract because Sunday is like only like I think they only have like 6 or 7 actually contracted people. The rest are like freelancers, I believe. Mika might be a freelancer too, but at least so I think her and maybe like Dash, she might look to Marigold too. So there might be some people that just do some more pop ups on Marigold, like shows, um, and all that stuff. So
It's gonna be an interesting year. We're gonna keep doing this. We're sorry for the delay. It was mainly me. I've been going. I've still fighting a concussion. That's one of the reasons why I haven't really been getting us to do videos because I've been trying to heal up, but still taking some time. But we're running on to 45 minutes here. We wanted to get something out for everyone, especially with all the end of the year shows happening. We figured we'd do a little talk, a little chat, see what we're all thinking. I will say this real quick: Stardom needs to find another color commentator or play-by-play, because that one guy, he was, I do not like him. uh, I, maybe it's just because I'm now just spoiled with Stu Fulton every time Maori Gold has a live English show. Maybe it's that. Stu is pretty damn good in my opinion. I think he's top 5 in the world. But yeah, we got a big year coming up. We got a lot of Maori Gold shows coming up. A lot of VODs that we'll have to watch. Same with Stardom. We'll also have maybe throw in a little Sendai Girls. Maybe a little something else. A little something something. We
yeah,
got Saudiism coming up in I think 2 weeks, maybe one more week. I think it's 2 weeks. I think it's like it's 20 something. I know, chapter 6 is the 20 something.
yeah. And I do think this month, next month, like the next few months, like 6 months will be free agency a lot. Like I think Ice Room is going to be coming up at the end of this month, I believe is what it was, January or February. I'm not 100%, but they're
Well,
going to have
Yuki's
a lot of
officially a
talent.
freelancer. Her contract
Yeah,
ended in
she's
December.
been, but there was like the 4 or 5 other ones. I think were expired at the end of
Mio,
December.
see what happens
Mio and
there.
then like yeah. So that's why I think there's already a few of them have expired and others will be coming up. And then anybody who can pop up on NXT one day, like we have no clue what any of those negotiations are. But Regal has his hand in the Japanese scene right now, looking at names for everything.
Oh, Papa H is also keeping an eye out. He's watching.
Yeah. So
Triple H is watching.
so there's definitely some talent that's going to be getting calls and negotiations, and Rossi, obviously with the connection with WWE and almost hidden partnership, is not going to decline if people want to leave, as he's done in the past. Like he's fine with them getting the most money. So I do feel like we're going to get another big name like Julia last year. I think we're going to get another big name to go over to NXT or AEW or both. So that's definitely going to be stuff in the next 6 months when that happens.
So I'm going to apologize now for the future shows because we'll most likely be talking free agency a decent amount because these next 2 months it's pretty much going to be telling, like especially in Stardom, like who's dropping titles.
Yeah,
If you
like February, yeah, because
if
that's what happened last year. Is like everybody dropped in February and then in March they all left. Because
and
I think it was Mirai had the artist, and then she with Suri, and then she dropped. I think that might have been Suri's last title in Stardom right now. She's gone like 9 months without a title. Julia obviously dropped a strong championship. Now there was one other person I think who dropped or disbanded like the faction. Like they all had the go away show like last month. So if they go hard
you're
into
thinking
that or
of
not,
Tommy,
so
but yeah, it's
Tommy
also
and Kamatani were tag champs early last year.
that might
yeah,
have been it.
and we're like the other thing, like people when we bring these people up on who we think is leaving, there's reasons for it. Like we notice the body language, we notice all this. Like in November and October, you could tell of 2023, you could tell Julia was getting ready to leave, and then you started having the rumors coming up right after that. Like I remember us discussing in like September about Julia potentially going to WWE, and then you're seeing
Yeah,
the body language from Julia and some of like her closest friends like starting to get sad, like Siri, and then you have the rumors come up
yeah.
in October from Fightful, and then it continued getting stronger and stronger, and it's like,
And then yeah, and there's other connections like we've been talking about Utami because she's been like at NXT and she tried to be like off camera, but there's the photo of her. But she also has connections with like Io as her like biggest mentor who just had the match with Shayna, Natalia when she's like when they come to America, like a lot of these do train with Natalia, like she's Heart Dungeon. And then some of it is like okay, you can just say like Miyu, for example, Miyu Yamashita. She was at NXT where she tried to keep hitting with the hat, which is kind of funny and that was because she was in Florida doing her freelance America excursion. So you could just be like, okay, she wanted to go watch wrestling, but there is some like, she just wanted to watch wrestling. It's not just like going to a random indie show, and she probably got it comped and everything. So there's definitely other stuff for it. For who did
Well,
who
it
did
was a big thing
yeah
last year where, since most of the Stardom girls were in America for the
the
US show, and they went to WrestleMania, and a lot of them got big eyes.
yeah,
Starlight
and
Kid
then
was very vocal about
yeah,
it.
Konami too because she was like Asuka's mentoree, so like that's a big thing, and she's like, what? So it's
Well,
like you got
Oscar
Konami who's
is is her teacher.
yeah, so that's a
Like,
and then even like outside of it, like just recently we saw with Bloodsport, Carmen November went up against Sumi for like one of her last matches, and like Sumi is like Sumi Asuka like any of these older people, Miko, Bull, any of the people that are connected with WWE are like big names, trainers like Bull, Miko, Sumi. Those are three top like names in Japan for like the older, almost retired names. And then you got current names in Asuka, Kyrie, Julia. So they got people that like are like 21 wanting to join WWE and at the same time like 31 because you cover all the ages of like people that look up to different wrestlers. So there's definitely stuff where a lot of the mentorees and trainees are like looking at what their people do. Because yeah, Suri, I do think I mean she was closely connected with Julia for DDM, and I don't think she's done anything since Okada took over. I don't think she has.
I think she's lost the majority of her matches, to be honest.
Yeah, I think she's lost majority. I don't think she's had a title
She had
match,
a
or maybe
tag
she's had
title run,
one,
and
but
that's it.
It was a very short tag title run. Like she got it with Kunami, and then Kunami turned on her. I think like a couple
it
weeks
was like
later.
2 months, like yeah, 2 weeks later, or something like that.
And then does the
Because
mishap of the
she,
big match at the pay per view sit in
Which,
her head?
and then she
She
got
yeah,
yeah.
because she won the title on June 29th and they lost it on July 23rd. So it was like 3 weeks before Konami turned to join Hate or Odite, which became Hate, and that was the only thing that she's had for any title since Okada took over, or
And
like
then yeah,
even
and
just like
then
a title
Konami's
shot.
just pretty much won every match against Suri, and that feud
So we're
is
not
still.
even super hurt a minute into their match at the pay per view.
Yep. I thought
Yeah,
she was hurt
she had
before it, to be honest.
in 2024 she had 60 wins and 57 losses. So basically a almost perfect 50-50, which if you compare 2023 was 72 wins and 37 losses. So she went
She
from
was
having like
caught up with just
career
losing the world
years.
title.
So she went from having years of like 60% win rate or like no like high to like 45, 50%, which is like only happened like twice.
So I
It
wonder who
is,
books
yeah.
her better.
It's the worst win rate she's had since 2019. 2020 through 2023 for 4 years, she was at 60% or higher, or basically like 59.5, but 60% or higher. And then she went back down to 48.
And you think with when she had a match of the year contender match with Mayu that she was in for a big year, and then Rossi got fired.
Yeah. And obviously Rossi, the Rossi specials, because she had a lot more draws. But even last year, she had 7 draws, which that surprised me that she had that many. Um, because 2023 with Rossi was 12, so just under half, just over half the amount of draws. But like 7 draws is pretty surprising in the Okada booking. I thought it would have been lower. Hmm,
But that's why we bring up
2022.
these names. It's because we notice things, we see little things. Like we're not insiders. We don't have insider knowledge. Granted, we know people that have insider knowledge that run our server, but we see these little things, and then like we bring those names up to keep an eye on, and then they usually do leave. So we have a decent track record. I'm gonna be honest, even though we have zero sources. So
Yeah, it's just knowing the scene and the behind the scenes stuff. Like Mayu's not the number one Rossi girl, so it's kind of clear to us that she's, especially as I brought up to you, like Stardom just released for like a 3 day special, but put it online the Runaway Wrestler uh movie, which was like when they're doing that, I think like they're trying to get all that promotion, all that movie thing that didn't get out before she leaves in like March. I thought it was like that it was gonna be January for it, but like that movie came out I think in the summer in August, and they were already like, oh yeah, here's it free on YouTube in like 6 months.
It's funny because it came out after they got rid of Rossi, but Rossi's a major part of the story.
yeah.
Yeah,
All
and then
right,
like
we
Kyrie and
actually
stuff make appearances.
we actually almost reached an hour. So let's end this year because I know you got to get going. I also got to get ready and prepare to get going. Uh, so we're I don't know when we'll record it next. It could be next week. It could be in 2 weeks. I would say we'll aim for 2 weeks. Let's try to do this every 2 weeks. Get an episode out, and then once we get more comfortable with everything and get like a
Yeah,
set schedule down, we'll try to get to every week.
yeah, because we can do recaps, but depending on what happens in the next 2 weeks, we can also just do like once a month for main title changes and everything, like main title changes, free agency. Because I don't even know what's gonna happen for the Stardom shows. Like what I know this weekend is the Thekla versus Athena ROH. Athena's going to obviously 100% retain match, so I don't know what else they're doing. Um, because it was a pure tag. Looking at the cage match board today, they had 6 tag matches on their house show today. So, oh, sorry, 5 tag matches in a 3-way. So yeah, that's because they're doing the artist of contendership tournament thing, which is like only 6 teams are in it or something.
Like I said,
TJPW's got one of their big tournaments starting right now too. So
yeah. So we got a lot coming up that we'll be able to discuss. So thank you for joining us, everyone. We all hope you have a great weekend. Watch some Joshi wrestling if you can. Have a good time. Relax. Be smart. Yeah, I don't got really much else to say. You guys got anything to add before we end the show?
Be excellent to each other.
I'm partying on, dudes. I was waiting for Tristan to say something, but he didn't say anything. I've got to remember he's
Again.
slightly younger than us. When I say slightly, I think he's about like 8 years younger than me. So, all right, everyone, have a good time. See you guys later.